Welcome to Enabling Buying in a World of Selling. This is a podcast with leaders, thought leaders in my world, and what enabling buying in a world of selling means in their world. If you're curious about the idea behind all of this, check out my book, Enabling Buying in a World of Selling, at enablingbuying.com, where you're actually able to listen to some chapters and pre-order the book today. Let's get into it. Welcome, everybody. It is my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Morgan, founder and CEO of Connective Communications. And we met, or actually, I think it's Connective Communication without the S, right?
That's correct.
We met at an organization called Global Chamber, and it was fairly recently. And it was serendipitous on my part. I think we just connected very quickly, and it was a nice connection. So welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you, Charles, for having me. Honored to be here.
Would you like to fill out some more of your introduction for our audience so they know you a little better?
I would love to. Thank you so much for the pleasure and the gift of everyone's time in being here today. So 15 years on Wall Street. I started my career at Credit Suisse for a short stint. Then I went into Citigroup for a short stint as well. And then the majority of my career in 15 years on Wall Street was at JP Morgan Asset and Wealth Management. So after spending 15 years in total on Wall Street, I decided in 2023 to start my own company, Connective Communication. The role of connective communication really is to elevate the voices of others. It's very focused on presentation skills, speaking, selling, solutions-based selling, and consultative selling, and really being a value of others and having the most ultimate clarity of conversations possible so people can help each other to be better versions of who they are. I tend to work mostly with people in financial services, fintech, and technology. But what's interesting is over the course of doing this role and having this company for the last 2 years is that templates that I created whilst I was working in industry to help people for what they do before, during, and after meetings or pitches translates very seamlessly into cross-sector and different organizations. So anyone can use the blueprints that I've created over time to really help them to have better, higher quality of conversations to lead to better success.
Beautifully clear. Thank you. One thing I wanted you to speak to, if you'd be willing, is your book. I had the pleasure of reading it. I'd love to hear about why you wrote it, what are some of the messages, and what you really love people who read it to be left with.
Phenomenal. So the book is called Hearts, Minds, and Wallets, the thin book that closes gigantic deals. And so let's go back in time a bit, Charles, if I may. So May of 23 is when I officially resigned. I loved my job. I loved corporate. I loved the people. I loved the value add. I was helping to close behind the scenes some of the biggest deals on Wall Street, partnering with teams that were amazing. I was traveling all over the world. I've worked with over 45,000 people now in 16 different countries. So in the beginning of this, I didn't know what I was going to do when I decided I wanted to do something different and really lend my overall skill set, my what I like to call superpowers that everyone has, lean into that to help other people to elevate them. So July of 23, I went home. I'm from Washington State, and I was having dinner with my family, and our neighbors were over visiting, and my neighbor is 81 years old, and she said to me, Jennifer, you need to write a book. And I said, I love you. You're wonderful, but I don't have time for that. I'm trying to figure out in this moment in time, what am I going to do next that I've chosen to resign from corporate? And she said, you need to write a book as a business card. So after many months and weeks of deliberation, she finally convinced me to start writing a book. Now, what I didn't know about her and what's interesting about people is you can know someone for 20 years, yet still not know them. She was a very cerebral, well-read person. When she was working, she was a marketing guru. She was a speaker coach. She used to go on cruise lines. Some of her clients were the FBI, the Pentagon, and the Boy Scouts of America, just to name a few familiar names for us, especially in the US. And she had great accounts, and she herself had written several books. She also helped writers to bring their books to fruition, taking them from ideation to actual manuscript. So we worked together from December of 23 through July, August of 24, and the manuscript first was done. So she said it was really the two major things at the time, because I told her I wanted to democratize my ideas that I saw work in practice, how you set yourself up for success, templates that either I created or I saw worked in practice that I borrowed from others and, of course, gave them credit for creating. That you did really to be organized, to be anticipatory in conversations, to think about how do you answer complex questions when people ask you something as the subject matter expert that you are. How do you synthesize super complex information to make it simple, digestible, and repeatable? So what we did over time was she inspired me and she said, what do you want to talk about? What's your focus? What's your expertise? And that's how the book came to fruition initially. Then I went on a bit of a journey to try to find the right publisher. I found someone that was a hybrid publisher to bring it to market. What's interesting about this journey is that when you're writing a book, you write the book and the manuscript and you say, I think this is done. But you don't know, I joke around. I joked around that my book was like my baby. And I don't know if it's cute or if it's unattractive. So through my network in July of 24, I was actually at a sales conference and doing a interactive presentation. One of the sales managers pulled me aside after, who I didn't know very well, and he said, you are wonderful. You've added so much value to our sales team. How can I help you? Charles, I'm usually not one to actually ask for anything. I feel like that if someone values what you do and they see that they can actually be enabled by it or elevated by it, they'll possibly ask you to help them in some way. So that's something about my sales ethos as well. I always say we should be solutions based in what we do. I said to him, I'm not going to really ask you for anything, but thank you for asking. He said, well, what are you working on? I said, I'm writing a book. And he goes, okay, I think I need to introduce you to my network. Because of him, I met one other person who introduced me then to a gentleman who used to be the former head of editorial globally at Forbes Publishing. Retired, golf course, South Carolina. And 40 minutes into our hour call, I asked him, would it be possible for me to ask you to come out of retirement and to, of course, I'll pay you whatever you're asking for to review my book? And he said, I would be honored. 2 weeks later, full editorial summary. I didn't expect it, notes on the side. And he gave me so much insight and inspiration to continue with the path of bringing the book to market.
Is he in your book?
He is. So Maggie Bedrosian is the woman, the neighbor. She's now 83 years old. I probably shouldn't be sharing her age when she watches this. Sorry, Maggie. Apologies in advance. And then Stephen Larkin is the gentleman that was the former head of all editorial at Forbes Publishing. So, he pauses. I like to joke in the acknowledgments in the back. I have both Maggie and Stephen because he paused his golf game to actually help me with the book in terms of reviewing it and giving me some great editorial notes. And both he and Maggie have been partners pretty much from the beginning of this. And I think that people just need one person to believe in them and inspire them to do greater things than they can even expect of themselves. We don't know what we don't know is so much greater than what we actually do know.
I liked how you said you don't like to ask too much, you like to give. So if I could ask you, what do you want the audience to receive since you're giving
Mm.
uh, a lot of messages in your book? I don't know if it's limited to one big message or if you'd like people to know a few things. Would you like to comment on that?
100%. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Charles. In terms of overall the ethos of who I am and what I'm portraying in the book, I think it's about showing up as who you are in service of others is the most important thing. In the book, the underlying theme is there's a bit of vulnerability. I call it authentic with boundaries because let's be honest, you can't show up in sweatpants like you do at home, maybe at work, depending on what your job is, of course, right? You have to be appropriately outfitted and you have to have the right things to say depending on where you are. You're adapting that to your audience in that time. So there's that vulnerability, there's authentic with boundaries, but it's really about curating lasting relationships. I think that sometimes we can be a bit focused on the immediate gratification or doing something, that big ticket item, and we get excited about it. It's wonderful, but really investing in the time it takes to have the coffee, asking how people are doing, genuinely, with interest and with care. And I think that for me personally, I always like to joke around. I'm never selling. I'm here to actually provide solutions to something that you may need help with. So, or partner with. Because I really do feel like that if we have a special set of skills, which all of us have in some way, shape, or form, doesn't matter what age you are, your background, everyone has something special they can offer someone else to help them to elevate them. So I really feel like that servitude or being in service of others to help them in some way, that's the underlying ethos of the book. And the relationships can lead to transactional eventually as well. And candidly, Charles, I'm living proof of that. I have a public university education. I was in and out of university in 3 years, and only really because of my personality and my willingness to talk to anyone. For me, you could be the janitor flipping burgers, the CEO of Fortune 10 company. I talk to everyone. I personally love stories and I love listening. And it's proven through research, the more you listen to someone, the more likable you are as well. So asking the questions right now, jokingly, I love you right now because you're asking me so many great questions. You're letting me talk about myself and talk about my work. And if you put a functional MRI in my brain right now, all different types of my brain are lighting up because I'm deeming there's more of a connection to you as an active listener. The book is really meant to be a template for you to have quick access to things that can synthesize what you say and how you prepare to show up. It's a little bit of a reference model. People are preparing to go to any size pitch, meeting, interaction with others, even relationships. You can use this for professional, you can use this for personal. It's very different the way I've written it, and I didn't realize that until I started getting the reviews, the editorial review from Stephen Larkin, and even when I was talking to Maggie about how I want to write the book, each chapter is first presented the tool or template as line one. Then it's paired with a real life story of something I was involved in, observed, or connected to. And those are real stories that happen. So I say it's partly tools and templates, or the TNT for dynamic dialogue, dynamite dialogue, as well as, and it's paired with my diary as a corporate citizen. Things that I saw really helping people when they were struggling or they were against a barrier. Charles, one thing to note as well is that the reason it's called Hearts, Minds, and Wallets is because I have my graduate level certification from Columbia University for executive and leadership coaching, also my International Coaching Federation first level accreditation. We talk a lot about in coaching, which is different than consulting and training. I joke around, I'm a coach consultant. So I coach and I also consult a little bit as well because we have to ask for permission to offer advisement or experience from other people we've worked with when we're coaching. We talk about people often come to us with what's in their mind, but really it's getting to the heart. It's the motivation, it's the values, it's the virtues that prompt people to act, react, and also respond in different ways. So hearts, minds was very important. I thought about what do we do next? Because we think about, well, I've helped close really large deals behind the scenes as a secret sauce, they used to call me on Wall Street. I'm continuing to do that work today. We thought dollars, values, but we were like, you know what? Wallets, that's the way it is. And I've never had so many conversations about an ampersand in my life if we should include it or not. So the and was added later. It was Hearts, Minds, Wallets. Later it became Hearts, Minds, and Wallets. Charles, one more thing about the book too is that a lot of the publishers were saying it's too thin. And it's roughly 25,000 words. To be a success commercially, books are supposed to be, according to the publishers, 35,000 words or more. Now, because the book is about brevity of speaking and being succinct, I thought it would be very disingenuous for me to add more words to the book. So, therefore, it was a very interesting conversation I was having with a lot of the publishers to say, no, I'm pushing back on that. And I was told also the way I was speaking through the tone of the book and the way my voice was coming through in the way that I speak and share information, which has been successful in certain areas for sure, with real results. I was told I needed to change the way that I was speaking through the book. So it was a very interesting path to really keep your authentic voice, who you are, and demonstrating that. And it was a very interesting path, I would say, and journey in terms of bringing it to publish.
Could you speak a little more about something I heard which intrigued me, and I think it might be interesting for others to hear? The phrase curated or curating relationships. Could you go a little deeper on that and maybe, make make that something that is more accessible to us?
100%, absolutely. I think what's happened is, especially in the last, roughly 5 plus, almost 6 plus years next year, is that we've become, with the advent of digital virtual meetings, which are fantastic. We needed them, we're using them. We've become very transactional. So now it's different where you are in the world. So having experience in so many countries all over Asia Pacific, all over Europe, as well as the Americas, people do have conversations that differ in different ways. So, coming from the lens of I live now in the Northeast area, based in the greater New York area, typically a conversation would be 25 minutes of a 30-minute meeting, all focused on transaction, and the last 5 minutes might be relational. If you move to the West Coast, where I'm originally from, normally it's about 20-25 minutes of relational, and the last several minutes are transactional. Chicago's a hybrid, Texas is different. So it depends on where you are around the world, as well as around the country, in terms of how you typically have any kind of engagement. What happens is that, especially now that we have back-to-back meetings more frequently than not, and we're not always in person, we tend to get a little bit more laser focused on the transaction of the conversation versus the relationship. In order to really curate depth and breadth of connection with other people, I've seen it in action, I've experienced it, and I know it works, that if you invest in someone having a virtual coffee with someone, just literally learning about what's their, I use the phrase all the time, what's your path to success? Listen to their stories, listen to their needs, their wants, their motivations. That actually will help you eventually lead to business or being considered for business as well. What happens is oftentimes we might go in with the intention of this is what we have to do that's transactional, and that can be a way to do it. But again, I think feel like that's very short-sighted. It's more focused on the long-term relationship and how we can grow and work together. So learning about someone, their background, their needs, their wants, and based on that conversation, you can be in solutions focused mode or consultative selling 101. So really a consultative selling 101 is that you come in with some open-ended questions, you ask them different things. It could be, if it's appropriate, personal, it could be professional as well. But based on what people are sharing with you in that moment, you can be thinking, okay, what can I construct or what can I do to help them to solve for something they may need help with? Oftentimes, what happens, Charles, in my experience is we are subject matter experts and we prepare pitches, we prepare for meetings, we go in and we're so busy talking about something without knowing what the person actually needs or wants, or the education they need to elevate them to make a more informed decision. So we're often going in with more of our own personal agendas versus someone else. And I always love to quote this. It's quite funny in my opinion and fun at the same time. Mary Kay. So Mary Kay in the United States was very popular in the 90s and early 2000s. She was door-to-door sales. Some may say pyramid scheme, some may say multi-marketing. It just depends on what you decide she was doing. But she was doing door-to-door sales and having these makeup parties. She was very famous. And at one point, she had thousands of people on her sales team, very famous. And she used to tell her salespeople, whenever you see a client or a customer, pretend like they have a sign around their neck. And the sign says, make me feel special. And I think what happens is we go in with our own agenda, with our own priorities, and we don't stop for a moment and say, this person has literally given me the gift of their time. And Charles, for me, it's the most important thing in life is who you spend your time and how you spend your time. There's no greater gift. I always talk about time being a non-renewable resource. You cannot buy it, multiply it, or grow it. You just can't. It's finite. If we live to 100 years of age, it's roughly 52,560,000 minutes. Anyone that's fact checking me, that's not considering leap years, just so you know, that's just 365 for a 100-year life. So the fact that even you're showing up right now and you asked me to be with you during this very valuable time, this is 45 minutes, an hour of our lives we can't get back. So I think that our responsibility to society and to others is to respect their time, to respect them. I don't know when someone else is showing up with me, and they don't know from me what it took for us to be here today. I don't know what's happening at home. I don't know what maybe the commute that you had to get into your job. I don't know what you did to set yourself up at home for success. I have no idea. All I know is that you've decided for this 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, however long you're going to be engaging with someone else, you have come to be with me and enjoy that time with me. So I always say that being completely in the moment, being truly present and in service of others is the ultimate gift blended with time.
That's a wonderful description. So I think a follow-on question, it seems logical perhaps, is with all that said, how does that impact buying and selling?
Beautiful. Great segue. So, the impact of buying and selling. So, there's something I say in the book, and I truly believe this: consistency plus integrity equals trust earned, CITE or SITE. And if you are in service of others, and if you are sharing information about what you do, thinking about at the same time, what can you do to solve something for someone else versus that hard sell. So ABC, always be closing. It came from that Glengarry, Glen Ross movie, very popular Alec Baldwin scene. It's very intense. It's a stormy night. They're in this room and they're trying to sell real estate, and he writes on the board ABC, always be closing. It's that used car salesperson encounter that you have that's kind of gross and not fun. It's difficult, it's high pressure sales. Very American, candidly, as well, that situation. So I say let's not do that. Let's always be client or colleague ready. Now, what does that mean? So preparing yourself for those interactions, doing what you say, showing up consistently, following through on your commitments, that is everything. So, Charles, for example, after this call, everyone knows this about me. I will always send a thank you note within 24 hours. It's in my ethos. I've had people when I've been literally 25 hours write to me and say, "Where's your thank you note?" Because that they literally expect it of me. They know if I say I'm going to do it, I will be doing it. So it's fulfilling our promises that we make to other people. And it's as simple as that. Let's meet in 2 weeks. Okay, great. Don't wait for the email exchange for 2 weeks. When you're on the call with someone, book the next meeting, have everyone open their calendars, leave about 5 minutes at the end, and really summarize what's going to happen, whose roles and responsibilities, as well as booking that next meeting as well. So what I like to say is that if someone is meeting with you and giving you their time, it's our responsibility to make sure that we further the connection and deepen the relationship. So consistency plus integrity equals trust earned. What happens is you're developing a relationship, and that does take time. So I'll give you a quick story that's actually not in the book. When I was first at my first role at JP Morgan, I realized that there was a lot of people who were sending out emails in terms of the technology updates that were happening. And I said to my management team, I said, you know what? I think I could do this a little bit better. There were 17 different application owners, and they were all sending out different notes coming from distribution lists. They were coming from individuals, but nobody in the business and the sales team knew who these people were because they were technical people they didn't interface with every day. So I would say, oh, there's just been an update to this application. This software has been updated. This has been better. They're writing in very tech speak versus business speak. And what I did was I ended up taking out 17 people for breakfast, coffee, or lunch, and I did the tour. And I would ask them, what's the barrier to entry? What's going on? Because essentially, what I wanted to do, my overarching objective was to write one email per month. I wanted to consolidate all of their updates into one email and also translate them from tech speak to business speak. It took me about 4 to 6 weeks to meet with every single person. Then when we got around the table as literally 17 people, including my manager and myself, and we had support from the business as well because we sold the idea to them, everybody was in agreement. So it does take time to build relationships. It does take time to build buy-in to ideation, to what you're trying to do, again, in service of them. So there's a very famous model that's in the book as well. John Driscoll in the 1970s, he was training orthopedic surgeons how to deliver diagnoses in a more streamlined fashion. So he created the what, so what, now what model. What is what is the issue? What is the problem? The so what, what's in it for them at the time it was the patient. And the now what, what's the call to action? What do you want people to think, feel, or do as a result of the information? So oftentimes we talk about the what. What's the goal of our meeting? What are we doing together? The so what, what's in it for them? In my experience, that needs to be really more of the headline. So when I come and I meet with you and you talk about selling, buying, how do we differentiate ourselves? If I can make it relevant to you in some way, am I saving you time? Is an efficiency gain? Is it going to make you more money? Whatever it is in terms of my subject expertise based on what the product is. The product could be self, it could be book, it could be an actual physical thing. How is it solving something for you that may be a barrier? And in terms of how is it differentiated in the market? How is what you're doing? We always think about mainly two things in terms of how we solve things. Notice I don't use the word selling too much, how we're solving things for others, because that's more of that servitude type of approach in terms of how we interact. So it's competitive analysis and differentiation in the market. So those are two things I always think about in terms of what is special about what you do and how you do it. There's another thing as well. The Morning Star has 5 Ps. They have 5 pillars. I take 3 of those pillars and often talk about them when I'm training people in different workshops. And they are people, process, and performance. Candidly, performance of something may be similar, process may be similar of something, but always the key differentiator number one is the people. The way you show up, your skill set, your background, all of your life experiences have made you uniquely you. People are buying from people. Now, we do have a lot AI, digital, all of that that's helping people to get to some space as well. But when we really have live people in front of us and we're communicating ideas and sharing information, it's the ethos of who you are. And again, we're not for everyone. Remember that too. And that's okay. As long as you know you're connecting with people and you have a value proposition, you're really there in service of them, people will see that. So I say it's oftentimes a blend of confidence plus humility. It's knowing what you do, the power of it, the value of it, what's in it for the other person, or what it can do for them, as well as being grounded enough to say, you know what, I also realize that sometimes I may have weaknesses or kryptonite.
So my takeaway, that was lovely. My takeaway, Jennifer, in the what, so what now, is you're spending more time in the so what. And
Correct.
the so what is focused on helping them, again, as I heard it,
Yes.
helping them really communicate what is the so what, because I I'd be curious if you agree. I think you do, in that a lot of buyers, when they come to discussions with sellers, don't always know what the so what is. And it might be that one of your contributions would be to help people define what that so what is. And obviously that takes more time. So that was my one takeaway from that. I'm sure I got many others. And I just had a question for clarification. What is Morningstar?
Ah, great question. So it's a high level ratings company. What they do is they take products that are on the market and they give them starred ratings. They do research, et cetera, as well. They're very prominent in financial services world. So thank you for asking that. So basically, what they do is they give ratings to products to see how they're performing. They grade them. What's historical performance look like? How is it looking and stack ranking against peers? So you're always looking for once you've been established for so many years as a product, on financial services that's being offered, it's given a rating or a status, if you will. So it's important because people look at that as a criteria to make a more informed decision.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So, as we wind down, I like to ask my guests the question I'm going to ask you, which is, what are some of the sources that you'd like to pay forward that you're grateful for? It could be people, books, events, anything that's inspired you that you'd like to let people know about that maybe they could check out.
Fantastic. I love that. Thank you so much for that. So, the first thing is, I do want to mention that a portion of the proceeds from every hardback book is going to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And that's very personal to me because when I was younger, a friend of mine who was critically, then terminally ill, received a wish from Make-A-Wish Foundation. And that was something I think that really changed my life in terms of seeing that memory that was created for my friend. And I think that, again, I think that that's just part of the ethos of who I am is that what we do in life, when we can, we try to give back. So I think that thinking about the limitations that we have or the possibilities that we have, but not thinking about things as limitations, thinking more about being limitless in that. So I love Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think that that's a fabulous book to read. If you haven't read it, it's very popular, and I think it's fantastic because it talks a lot about in terms of these types of things. I think being truly curious and understanding a little bit of fact checking about what's out there as well, because I think there's a lot of what people are saying in terms of influencers and what's research based and is it really research based, and I think being curious but really getting down to what is actual evidence and research versus what's not, because I joke around, the data doesn't lie. So truly, is it contextual, is it experiential, or is it research? So I think being really, really thoughtful and critical thinking is a superpower that the more you lean into that, it will help in terms of just overall life and approach. I like to say in these scenarios and situations as well is that I feel like we are all detectives. So we're always trying to uncover clues and, pick up the rock and see what's underneath the rock as detectives so that we can solve something for others. Because only until we have the right clues can we create the right outcome and the most ideal outcome for others. So I would say completely be curious, critical thinking, question things, don't take things at face value. Really think about what you want to be and who you are at your ethos and your core, because I think that comes through consistently with other people and they will connect and resonate with who you are at your ethos. Now, motivations of others is, I think, the last thing I will say here, Charles, is it's important for us to know the motivations of others. If someone says, well, I want to be successful, how do you define success? Well, I want to earn a lot of money. Well, what's the reason for earning a lot of money? Was there scarcity sometime in your life? That's why you want to earn so much money. Is it because you want to buy something? Is it because you feel like you can give more back to society and donate as a result? There's one of many reasons for people's motivations. And once we tap into their motivation, their ethos, and their overall view of the world, that can literally make us more connected and more powerful, I think, in terms of our relationships that we have.
Wonderful. Well, it's time to say thank you
Thank you.
because I've been listening very intently. You mentioned listening before. It was not hard. You are a great communicator, so it made it very easy for me to understand. And it's rare, I think, to find someone so clear spoken, clear minded, with a valuable message that you didn't, no one gave you it, you created that. And it shows your passion and your integrity with it. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your message. I'm sure people listening to you will learn, like I have, a lot of really good pearls of wisdom. And so I leave you with another question, which is there anything else you'd like to say as a way of just wrapping up so you feel you've left nothing on the field?
Thank you for that, Charles. I appreciate it. And thank you, importantly, for your kind commentary and your beautiful summary. I'm honored to be here for a multitude of reasons. I do think that gratitude is very important, and I think that we are a byproduct of our environment and our exposure. And I just, a quick shout out to my parents. I mean, my mother, super positive person, my father, very focused on achieving certain goals and instilling those qualities and traits in myself to become who I am. And at the same time, on the counter of that at 18, saying, now you're on your own and have to find your own way. I think that being self-made, self-taught, but also then having certain people like the Stephen Larkin story come at those pivotal moments when you need them. If people are more open and they have more connected conversations and just simply talk to people, it literally shows you how limitless we truly can be. So I feel eternally grateful to make the decisions I have made, to have been exposed to all the various different types of situations I have in the world, good, bad, ugly, and different, because I think that the more we experience life, the more it refines our tastes and more it shapes us as humans. So it's just gratitude for me at the end of the day. I wake up every morning, Charles. I like to joke, sunshine coming out of my eyeballs. I'm so grateful to tackle the day. What's going to happen today? What will I focus on? Who will I help? And again, I think that I'm so grateful for that, because for me, that is literally the ultimate blessing, to be able to be in service of others and help other people with the gifts that we have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Charles.
Thanks for listening to Enabling Buying in a World of Selling. Real talk with people who are really interested in this concept. Again, as a reminder, please go to enablingbuying.com, where you can listen to some sample chapters from my book. And if you're interested, you can pre-order a copy for yourself. Looking forward to seeing you soon. And in the meantime, please enable good things.